Overeducated, underemployed, that's the story for Generation Y, the so-called millennials. More than a third of recent college grads with jobs are working in a position that doesn't require a degree. In fact, in the pool of 3 million new grads, 152,000 are working in retail, 102,000 as clerks and customer service reps, 94,000 of them are waiters and bartenders. So it might not come as a shock that a huge chunk of the population is checked out at work right now. A new Gallup poll found that 52% of workers are not engaged at work. Another 18% are actively disengaged and dragging down productivity. And millennials are more likely than other generations to be just going through the motions. On his FX show, comedian Louis C.K. summed up what many folks think of their younger coworkers.
Every 20-year-old that I encounter behind the counter gives me that look, oh, this job sucks. Yeah, that's why we gave it to you. Because you're 20, which is a mathematical guarantee that you have no skills and nothing to offer anybody in the world.
Brad, Karsh, I hope you're laughing at that. He's the author of Manager 3.0, a Millennials Guide to Rewriting the Rules of Management. You heard Louis C.K.'s take. Are millennials feeling too entitled at work? Have their parents been telling them how great they are and buffing up their self-esteem for so many years? Now they have to get out in the real world and they're bored and disappointed.
You know, I love that question, and when I do workshops, and we talked about it in the book, the biggest single beef that I hear about millennials is that they're so entitled. And Time magazine a couple months ago ran a piece called the Me generation, complaining about millennials being entitled and lazy. And one of the things I do in my workshop is I show that cover and then I read a couple quotes. And it says, you know, companies are discovering that to win the best talent, they have to cater to a young workforce that's overly sensitive at best and lazy. It's a generation that refuses to pay its dues. They'd rather hike in the Himalayas than climb a corporate ladder. and everyone gets a great chuckle out of it. And then I reveal that the issue that I just read wasn't the one that came out 2 months ago, but it's an issue of Time magazine from 1990.
Generation X.
Complaining about Gen X. So everyone's jaws drop to the ground. They're like, no, Brad, that describes millennials. And I say, hey, I hate to say it, you're getting old. We love complaining about people in their 20s. That's what we do in this country.
I don't know who first said it first, but, this is the first generation to get a trophy for just showing up for the season for soccer, not for actually winning the games. But let's look at the other side of it. Middle-aged comedians like Louis C.K. offering that perspective we showed you. But clips from the HBO show Girls, written for millennials, by millennials, it offers the other side of the coin.
And then I am busy trying to become who I am.
Our generation grew up hearing we should follow our dreams, but do students need to be a little more practical today, Brad?
Absolutely. And, it's funny, again, every generation sort of hears that. I think what's interesting about millennials is, you mentioned this earlier, Christine, they've been told they're special, they're amazing, they're great, they've been over-trophied. They have heard all those things growing up, not because they want it, because that's what parenting shifted to about 30 years ago. So now they enter the workplace and they realize, no, it's actually not about me, even though that's how I've been raised my whole life. So they do have to get practical and say, you know what, every job is not going to be a dream job. It is going to be something where you like some of it and you're not going to like
when
part
they
of
get
it.
into the workplace, you made some really great remarks in the book about how, they ask too many questions and they need to just do it. Like, what is your advice to millennials when they do get into the workplace?
They've grown up with so much structure, more activities, more sports, more clubs. Free time is down 37% from Gen X to millennial. So they're very used to looking up and having a parent, a teacher, a coach, a chaperone, somebody tell them exactly what to do. They come to work, they want their boss to tell them exactly what to do. I advise millennials, take more initiative, don't ask questions, but instead have hypotheses, recommendation, and points of view. Don't blindly ask.
Don't blindly ask. More than a third of people who are unemployed have been out of a job for at least 6 months. Low-wage jobs replacing, Brad, traditional middle-class jobs. If this generation is cynical, diminished opportunity is probably a big part of that, right?
It is a big part of that for them because they do also have these role models out there, other millennials, the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, the people who've started all these tech companies are like, hey, this guy at 25 was worth $1 billion. Why not me?
You want something between bartender and billionaire. A few choices along the way would be nice. We get that. All right, ask questions on the job, and I guess we Gen Xers have to be a little more tolerant of all those questions.
Absolutely.
Brad Karsh, thanks so much. Nice to see you. The book is great. The U.S. economy